Welcome to On the School Bus with Dr. Spades, the podcast dedicated to advancing creativity and innovation in education. Each week, we invite educators, innovators, and creatives from across the country doing the real work in schools to hop on the school bus with me, Dr. Spades. Together, we explore what's working. Whether you lead from an office, a classroom, or anywhere in between, this podcast is your vehicle for creative ideas, bold leadership, and strategies that have been put to the test where it counts in schools. Because our children, families, caregivers, and communities are counting on us to equip the next generation for success. Let's go. Welcome to another week of On the School Bus with Dr. Spades. Today, on the beautiful, isn't this like the prettiest interior of a bus you've seen?
Love it. I love it. When I walked in here, I was like, this is nice.
So we're in the bus. So today on the bus with me is I was going to call you Doctor.
Almost.
Mrs. Ebony Wilson,
Yes.
the CEO and owner of Ebony Safe Space.
Yes, ma'am.
Ebony Wilson is a licensed clinical social worker and the CEO and lead clinician of Ebony's Safe Space. Mrs. Wilson has worked in the mental health field for over 14 years. You don't look like you could have been a professional for 14 years. You're welcome. She began her career working in juvenile lockdown facilities throughout Los Angeles County, witnessing firsthand the impact of trauma and oppressive systems on recidivism rates. Ebony was determined to support the youth outside of the camp gates. After receiving her master's in social work degree from California State University Northridge and pupil personnel services credential from UCLA, just kidding. I went to USC, so I gotta give those Bruins a little bit of a hard time. Ebony continued her commitment to the Antelope Valley community and began her career as a clinical social worker, providing psychotherapy to children, families, and adults as a school-based and wraparound therapist. Ebony's personal values of spirituality, empowerment, compassion, and connection fostered her dream in creating Ebony's Safe Space in December 2022. Currently, her team of devoted clinicians partners with the Palmdale Unified School District, Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services, the City of Palmdale, California State University Northridge, Family Focus Resource Center, United Friends of the Children, and a plethora of other community-based organizations to provide relatable, evidence-based mental health services. Ebony prides herself in providing safe, non-judgmental spaces where children, adults, and groups alike can learn more about mental health, process negative feelings, challenge themselves, and develop healthy coping strategies to become the best versions of themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Since December 2022, absolutely amazing. And we met because during my first year as a middle school principal, I was looking at behaviors because that's the lens that I come from. So I'm looking at behavior incident referrals, on time to class data, suspensions. And I naturally have the mind state that children aren't giving us a hard time. They're having a hard time.
Yes.
And so I was like, I need a therapist. And so I was really fortunate to have an awesome assistant principal who's now a principal, Mr. Richardson. Got to give him props for that. And so he said, I have somebody who I think is really good. And so I was like, let's call her. It's because connection, especially in this work, is so important. I asked one of the APs, just walk her around, her around, let her meet the adults on campus, watch her as she interacted with students, because I wanted to get a real sense from the community if they felt like you would be a good fit, right? And so students were coming up to me, staff were coming up to me, and really enjoyed connecting with you.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, how do I make this happen? But very fortunate to work in a very supportive, forward-thinking school district.
Sure.
And we were able to figure it out. And so now this is our third school year working together. And I can just say that probably what I read in the bio is not true, because it is like a humble account of the impact that you have on students. Like, you do so much more. And I even found staff talking to you last year and you supporting them, which is incredible because it's a lot, working in education and supporting students. So you are a phenomenal
Thank
clinician.
you so much.
The team that you've built, a diverse team, which is important to me and important to you as well, does great work with students. But beyond your bio, who is Ebony Wilson?
I think I'm a product of Los Angeles, but also Lancaster. My dad passed away when I was a year old of cancer. My mom was a single mom. I have 6 brothers. I'm the only girl. I'm the youngest. When I came to Lancaster in 2000, I was 10 years old.
Okay.
Very angry, very, very angry. In middle school, I was kicked out of 8th grade for smoking weed in the bathroom. Then I went over to high school. I was at Antelope Valley High School, just fighting, a lot of underage drinking, drug use, partying. And then they kicked me out. They didn't want to keep going through that with me.
Right.
And so I ended up at Desert Winds Continuation High School. Okay. And something clicked. I think more than anything, I just felt like I wanted to walk that stage for my mom. And I just did all the packets they wanted me to do.
So it's not that you couldn't all along, but
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Absolutely.
Very smart. Right. Very, very smart. I'm thinking about my stepdad, my late stepdad, Walter Richards. He is from St. Thomas Virgin Islands. And when we were living in LA, he died at 101.
Wow.
And so very just old school.
Okay.
So when I was younger, we would ride the bus and see mansions in West LA. And he had encyclopedias he would make me read, and things like that. And I come from educators. On my dad's side, my grandmother and my grandfather were both educators. Wow. So I have that lineage, whatever. But graduated from P Knight, went to AVC, had my son at 21, started at the juvenile hall. I wanted to be a probation officer because I realized that anger is what everybody saw.
Yes.
But it was so surface level.
Yes.
And underneath all that anger was confusion, sadness, trauma, so much. And so I was able to identify that in the youth. Mm-hmm. And so when I started at the juvenile hall, I just connected with them. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. But we would talk about, I don't want to see you again. You was here for 9 months. Go thrive.
Right. They probably didn't want to leave you.
And then 2 weeks later, they're back.
Wow.
With another 9-month bid. Aww. What happened?
Yes.
And they would say, Miss Ebony, my mom was struggling, and I had to get it how I lived, and I got caught up again. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm sitting in here trying to be a probation officer. Mm-hmm. And then when I was at Barry J. Nydorf, some of them was sitting in juvenile hall waiting to go to prison and serve a life sentence. And so I said, I need to get out there and do that preventative work. Yes. And so that kind of led me in the direction of social work and just, my path forward. I never thought I wanted to be a one-on-one clinician. Really? I thought my voice was just too big for that. I'm supposed to talk to the masses. And I feel like I'm still going to be the mayor of Lancaster.
I love it.
I'm going to put that out there in this space. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm very faith-based. Mm-hmm. I believe in God. I believe that God guides me and he has a purpose for my life. Absolutely. While I respect and honor everybody's beliefs, that's what guides me in the work that I do. Right. And I'm just showing up being myself. It's important. Because people who are struggling and vulnerable, that's where I find them. Yes. And where they meet me. Yes. They don't want all that other stuff. Yes. They don't want that polished. Yes. I'm cute when I show up, I be at the school. All the time. Yes. Cute. But I'm relatable. Yes. I show up as myself, especially kids. They can sniff.
Yes, they can.
When you're being fake and not authentic.
Absolutely. And they choose based upon how we present. Like we, as educators, we know students choose whether or not they're going to learn from you. And you cannot have the impact that you need to have if you're being inauthentic. And I think that's why our children love you so much. Whereas, maybe there's a negative perception about therapy, but I have students like, Dr. Spades, can I work with Miss Ebony again?
Yes, sign me up. Yeah.
But because you are authentic and you don't judge,
No,
you
ma'am.
don't judge at all. And they definitely experience that. So.
That's pretty much me. I love holding space and giving people the opportunity to just share how they feel.
Right.
You'd be so surprised, even at your school, just holding space and what they go through, what they carry into the classroom. They're not just sharing that and waving a flag saying, I'm going through all of this, but they're carrying some stuff
They are.
at such a young age. You have adults that don't know how to cope
Yes.
with the things that they're going through. So just imagine
Babies.
a 12-year-old,
Babies, they're children.
right, coming and you telling them to learn.
Yeah. And that's the piece though. Like everything, of course, in a school setting is in service to learning.
Sure.
But if they have all of these things on their hearts and mind, they're not going to class or they're late. We're pushing them to class every single period, but not for all teachers, because always there's 1, 2, or 3 where we don't have those issues, right? Because they're okay being in those spaces, but their body's present, but their mind and their heart isn't present.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
And they are one smart remark from someone else of like flipping their lid.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Of flipping their lid. And one of the things we do in group therapy is helping them to identify what are your triggers,
That's so
what
important.
causes you to become upset.
Right.
How does your body tells you when you start to get upset? So what are your warning signs?
Right.
And then how are you going to deal with it?
Right.
We talk about school, but we also talk about home and the community.
Of course.
Because when the parent puts you on punishment, you come to school mad at the world.
Right. Then I had to deal with it.
Then Dr. Strange got to deal with it. Yes, ma'am.
And so that is who Ebony Wilson is.
Yes, ma'am.
The entity that you have founded, Ebony's Safe Space. How is that different than other entities who offer maybe the same service on paper? What sets you apart?
So I did community-based mental health when I graduated in 2019 and came back up to the Antelope Valley. I was a school-based therapist. I was placed at Yellen Learning Center, Little Rock High School, and Eastside High School.
Wow. I just said those are huge schools, like 3,500 students and serving 3 schools. That's a lot.
So I wasn't employed with the school district, but an agency who was contracting with the school district. And then after that, I went over to another community-based agency as a wraparound therapist. And I did that for 5 years. And all of my kids and families were connected to the foster care system. And you have to be creative in your approach when you're helping these families. But due to contracts that agencies have, there's a lot of red tape.
Okay.
So I think social workers experience a lot of burnout because they come into the field with a lot of compassion and they want to serve, but because of red tape and contractual stuff, you can't serve the way you want to.
In the way that the kids probably actually really need.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so I was tired of that. I was tired of that. And I was tired also of burning out and screaming for help and nobody hearing me. And so, I told God, I need something different because I want to continue to do the work, but I need something different. And so it was really a dream, a thought that was like, when I was at CSUN, I was working in student housing and I used to do counseling for moms who were students.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And so God had put on me, and so around Mother's Day, I would do a Mother's Day brunch for all of the student moms who were in the counseling group.
Okay.
And God had just put that on my heart. Do a brunch. So clear as day. Thank you, God. So clear as day. He said, do a brunch. He said, do it how you were doing at CSUN, but do it for the business.
Okay.
I was like, okay. And then now, okay, I'm going to do a brunch. Now I need a website because how I'm going to sell the tickets and how are they going to know what the agency is?
Right.
Why would they buy the tickets if they don't know?
Right.
Social media is a thing. Now I have to create a social media account. A wonderful resident advisor, she's Dr. Miranda X now. I had spoke to her. She said, Ebony, don't think about it. Just do it. You can fix it later.
Yes, so
you
true.
know?
So true.
And I just pushed it out there. I did the brunch, Self-Love Isn't Selfish brunch.
Okay.
And it just manifested after that. You reached out to me. The city of Palmdale reached out to me. United Friends of the Children reached out to me. DCFS social worker, Marquitra Swain. We were in the hair salon together.
Wow.
And she reached out to me because she thought I was still at my community agency.
Okay.
And then when she talked to me, I said, no, I actually started my own agency.
Wow.
She's like, wow, even better, you know? And so I just started to make all of those connections, and it just happened so fast.
Amazing when we're obedient, right?
Yeah, it just happened so fast. And so now I have a wonderful team with me. And when I'm speaking to them and I'm training them and we're consulting, I'm always just like, you know it. You have the evidence-based practice in the back of your head. You got the hours. You're trained. You're licensed. Now show up as yourself.
That's the hard part because I don't know if I was going to say generational, but no, because I have a big birthday coming up. I don't know, but it's so much of the world. We feel like, we have to be polished and whatever professional looks like. But I know too, we've spoken and I've taken risks about, I told myself when I became a principal, I would tell my kids, my students, my story, and my family's my story, because everything trickles down. So the good and bad, the areas that I need to work on, everything comes down, right?
Yes,
so I
ma'am.
want them to understand like who they're working with.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that.
Yes, but I think it's so important to have the courage to show up and be
ma'am.
yourself, because that's really how we're going to connect with people, connect with the right people, and serve the people that we were put here and created to serve. You know, so I'm glad that you have the courage to be authentic and be yourself. So.
Yes, ma'am. I was talking to one of my clinicians yesterday, and she was.
And I'm glad you're teaching them that as well.
I don't think she'll mind me sharing this, but she said she was code switching when she was meeting with a client. And I said, why do you do that? Stop doing that. But we had that conversation a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And she brought that up to me today because she said, I learned so much from you. And I asked her, because I like feedback.
Right, same.
And I said, well, can you share with me what is the most, the biggest thing you have learned from me? And she lists some things. But one of the things she's discussed was me helping her to just be unapologetically herself and be confident in herself. And she reflected on that conversation where I told her, stop doing that.
Right.
But
we're
yourself.
taught, and we, even as educators, and I still do teach students, we teach them to code switch. So meaning just being an African-American woman, there are ways of being and that I am with my family and my friends. So the way I talk to students, right, just for people who are not into educator speak like we are, I tell students, like, if I'm talking to my best friend, I'm like, girl, guess what happened today, right? But if I'm talking to my boss, or to a colleague, I'll just say, oh, how was your weekend? Oh, let me tell you about mine, right? So I'm going to code switch just based upon who I'm talking to. And we do, so I'm like, oh, are we doing a disservice? But we teach students to do that, right? So that they can move fluidly through professional settings, through personal, familial settings. So the world doesn't judge them because everybody doesn't respect home culture right, in the same way. But I love, though, and I think that's powerful to think, and I'm even going to think about that, like as I work with my colleagues as well. Maybe we should be in a space now, especially you being the owner of an agency, myself being a principal, where you teach her, like, it's okay, you don't have to do that, right? Like, that's actually going to be power for you, that you're going to be able to relate to more people. Like, it's a culture, like I tell my students who speak 2 languages, they're gifted second language learners. That's a gift to be able to think, read, write, speak in 2 languages. So that's power, and that's a gift for her. So I love that. Thank you for making me think about that.
Yeah, because your people is going to find you. Everybody not your people.
Correct.
And you can drop that gem on the floor, and whoever pick it up, right. They go pick it up.
Yes, so
and
true.
who don't,
that's okay. There's somebody else for them as well.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that. Okay, so one of the reasons why I wanted to start this experience, this podcast, this experience, because I know that one changed life changes generations. Just one. And if it wasn't for the adults who impacted my families, my parents, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have the same privilege and opportunity. So, generational change, it just takes one person. But of course, I have 811 one lives that we are working together. I'm fortunate to work with an amazing team where we're working to change all 811 of those one lives.
Wow.
But everything we do in a school setting is in service for education. But in that mission to really transform school experiences for students, and really looking at the whole child. Can you give some advice? This podcast is really for people who identify as school leaders. So I don't care what seat you're sitting in, if you're the custodian and you love your school, or a teacher leader, you happen to have the title like principal, but can you give advice to school leaders from maybe the lens of a mental health professional?
Sure.
As to how we can transform our students' school experiences.
Sure.
And there's so much, and you bring so much, so I don't want to limit you to one. I really want to hear all the things.
Okay. I always tell teachers and social workers, I'm glad I'm not in your job. Like, I don't do your job. I love the job that I do. I'm glad I don't have to be the social worker making that safety decision.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have to be the teacher in the classroom every day.
174 kids.
With all the students, But for me, I'm the mental health clinician. Just a little backstory before I answer your question. I remember when I came back out here and I was doing the work, I would get a lot of referrals for kids who were severely depressed. And I would just be so frustrated because the way you monitor and treat the treatment plan for a kid who has active suicidal ideation or active self-harming behaviors or depression, it's like 2 kids on your caseload. The way you monitor, treatment plan, meet with them, because you're probably not meeting with them once a week. You're probably meeting with them twice a week. And you're working closely with the caregiver and the psychiatrist and all of this. And so I would say, why are they keep assigning me all of these kids who are severely depressed? It was feeling like a lot. And so I, again, was praying about it and asking God to just kind of help me through that. And he started to show me that these are your people. I'm assigning these people to you. Wow. And so now I can talk about depression, depressive symptoms, safety planning. I had a suicide attempt yesterday with one of my clients. And we had to safety plan around that, but God has gave me the wherewithal to be able to handle that, sit with that, and help. So now when I think about teachers and professional staff members, I can't do your job. And your job is a hard role. And I commend you for being able to be with those students, teach those students. But what I would say is work smarter, not harder.
What does that mean?
Work smarter, not harder is you're working so hard to beat this learning objective into them, be smarter. Another thing I need you to think about is there a mental health component happening with the student?
Right.
And I'm not saying be the clinician and look into every student. But if you have a student who is constantly having issues, can you start thinking about it in a different way?
Okay.
Can you start assessing the behaviors in a different way? If they continue to have their head down and they're not doing the work,
consistently tardy,
yes,
not coming to school even,
can you start thinking about, and that's why I like to educate them on the signs and symptoms and understanding depression, anxiety, which is so common for our students. Can you start understanding that and seeing that? So just for a moment, if the kid is continuing to put his head down, can you think that it might be something else happening?
It's not defiant.
It's not them being defiant.
Or he's bored, or
yeah,
it's not an act of disrespect that he's not choosing to listen to you and putting his head down.
Yes.
Okay.
And for a moment, can you say, hey, can I holler at you really quick? And take, 2 minutes. Hey, bro, what's up? You good? I notice you keep putting your head down. We trying to get this learning across. Do you need anything? Is everything good at the house? Are you tired?
Right.
What's going on? How can I help?
Right.
Do I need to I'm thinking about Dr. Burns at Shadow Hills. Do you need to go see Dr. Burns?
Right.
And just starting to think about it differently. The other thing I talk about a lot is the anger iceberg.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
So the anger iceberg is a lot of the iceberg is underneath the surface. It's underneath the water.
Okay.
And then you have the tip of the iceberg that everybody sees.
Okay.
So the anger iceberg is you see the anger. You see the anger outbursts. You see them going off, being disrespectful.
Disrupting my class.
Disrupting
my school,
your
my
class.
Lunch, always.
Walking out without permission. All of that. That's what you see.
Right.
But underneath the surface, they may feel embarrassed, overwhelmed. They may feel confused about the work because it might be an undiagnosed learning disability happening. They may feel shame. They may feel hungry. They may have all these other feelings.
And that just feels different because when you were talking about the iceberg I see, I'm like, ooh, principal, you need to get in class. Like, you're disrupting my campus. But when you're talking to me about those things, I even feel different because it allows me to see the student as baby human.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Who deals with the same things that I deal with as an adult, but they don't even have like the ability to process or cope in a healthy way because their brain is still developing.
I'm not saying don't hold them accountable.
Because we're doing that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. And even in the groups, we talk about stopping and thinking.
Yes.
Consequences.
Right.
We process your consequences. They need consequences and life lessons when they make mistakes. Right. But we also need to just start thinking about, is something else happening underneath the surface?
My colleagues have 174 students, maybe 224 if it's PE. And so the reality of a classroom environment, there's 50 minutes. Maybe they can take the time to have the conversation. But that's why I think it's so important for schools to partner with quality clinicians. And we call those students who aren't benefiting from the strategies that we're doing for all students. So our counselor pushes into classrooms and does lessons. So we call those like tier 2 and tier 3 kids.
Okay.
And so I love that we have the ability to partner with a clinician, an agency like yourself. So when they are challenged, we can partner them with you.
Yeah.
And so the teacher can continue the lesson and instruction continues to happen. And while we can still get the student the support they need in individual therapy or group therapy.
I think you're so dope, Dr. Spates, because I love your method. I love how you're looking at the behavior charts, you're looking at the behavior reports, and you're like, click, 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 and you have your people reach out to those parents to talk about our services and things like that, because you are understanding that if he's getting all these suspensions, it must be something else that's going on.
They're not bad kids. They're not, parents will sometimes say like, oh, my kid is bad. Or even myself, I've learned so much from you as a parent. Because there was a moment I'm like, a child who shall remain nameless. Actually,
don't do my girl. Don't do her.
I love them. But I was struggling.
That's funny.
But I learned so much because our first year partnering together, you did family education workshops.
Oh, the parent workshops. Yes, ma'am.
And I felt a little shame, like, because as a parent, looking at my daughter, I'm just seeing behavior. She's not being compliant. She's not cleaning her room. I'm like, if DCFS came and saw your room and like if my house looked like your room, like they would take you. But I'm looking at compliance. I'm looking at behavior. I'm looking at like disrespect. And I was like trying to like respond and address those things. But you spoke to, I think it was like you spoke to a little bit about the anger iceberg. It's coming back to me a little bit. But I think listening to you talk to parents in the room, I was like, oh, she's depressed. I didn't get that, until you started explaining that. Can you talk a little bit, just because so many students do suffer with anxiety. They are angry for different reasons that have nothing to do with them. It's really parents and adults, it's me, maybe just life circumstances and situations. I don't know, what's some advice you have for families that are working with children growing up in a completely different age? My children, I've been divorced, so they're dealing with that. I don't know, what can you talk to us about families, even like to my moms and my dads and grandparents and foster caregivers who are raising children right now, because we often respond to the symptom.
These kids in these days, they're more emotional.
Yes.
than we were, I think, growing up.
Yes. I was talking to a friend about that this morning. Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't know if that's a bad thing, but they are.
But it's not necessarily bad, but I don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because that's not who I was raised to be.
Yeah.
It was like, suck it up, get over it, keep moving.
One of the things too is like, I tell parents, you have to check your stuff though too. Ooh, you are the parent, but you are overwhelmed too.
Yes.
You are overstimulated too.
Yes.
Your communication style, sometimes you may be a little passive, and passive meaning you don't communicate how you feel. You shut down when you get upset. You're not communicating, to your child. I feel upset that you did not complete your chores this week.
Guilty.
You just give them the silent treatment, or you become aggressive in your communication style, and so one of the things too is check your stuff. Do you need help?
Yeah.
Do you need a moment?
Yes.
You're a human. It's okay to ask for a moment.
Yeah.
It's okay to tell your kids, I am so frustrated right now. I feel so overwhelmed. I need a moment.
Yes.
So go do whatever it is that you need to do, but give me a moment.
I love that.
And then you can come back when you are regulated, when you have taken your deep breaths, when you have just taken some space to go from your 10 to like your 6.
100.
When you're a little more regulated, now you can have a conversation, and the conversation with them can be more productive.
I love that.
And now you're modeling to them.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
How to regulate their emotions, how to communicate assertively, because assertively means that you're not shutting down, but you're not being aggressive, but you are communicating how you feel and what you need and what you want in a positive way. And so now you are modeling communication skills, self-regulation skills to your child, and they'll pick up on that. Right. And then the other piece is just really understanding the signs and symptoms, because
I didn't understand.
A lot of, we see a trend that a lot of families and caregivers who were in the foster care system themselves, for whatever reason, their children end up connected to the foster care system. Then caregivers who experience trauma, generational trauma.
So true. Yes.
That trauma is passed down. And so if you never got the help for yourself.
Right. We just don't get fixed over time.
Yeah, no, it don't happen like that. It gets worse. You mask it. You find a way. You overcompensate. You do all these things. I'm thinking about like people who are diagnosed with ADHD. You know, they have a hard time with when routines change, and a difficult time concentrating. So they overcompensate with reminders and calendars and all these things. But that feels overwhelming. Right. So now we have adults who have past trauma that they didn't address, but they overcompensate as being like workaholics.
Yes.
Or they overcompensate as doing everything for their kids.
And guilty for sure. And I realized there became a point in my life where, like I said, I was raised like, just get over it, keep moving forward, you know. Training me to be, you said workaholic, but I'm like productive, you know. But that was really the way, and still is, like, if I'm being honest, that was like my comfort space for coping. And then my body, you mentioned like your body shows you when you need help. I was in a staff meeting, and I was passing out something for my principal, and my hand was just shaking. So at the time, I was in a doctoral program, administrative program, vice principal, and clearing my credential for programs, right? And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And so I would have to sit in a certain way, like otherwise my body, like I just couldn't control it anymore. And so it still happens. But I was like, I need therapy. I don't know, maybe like my age, it just wasn't viewed as positive as it is now.
It's a stigma around
like,
it.
And it was
Definitely.
like, I'm fine, like I'm strong, like I can muscle through this. And so I was in therapy for 8 or 9 months, and like that shaking broke. Like it still happens. But it broke for the most part. But I realized like the power of therapy. And so funny how God does certain things. I'm glad all of that happened, because I realized like that's a privilege that I want to make sure like my students get, you know, because it was really powerful for me. So I need to go back. You know, but I feel like constant, you know, like it's just good to have. But it is a privilege, and it's hard to find high quality therapists that can make a real impact, and it's expensive, so that's why I'm saying it's a privilege. But sometimes I find, and even still, like with my daughter, I recognize at a point she needed therapy, but I was like, oh, like, I don't know if I want anybody in my business. And I don't know if that's cultural, a Black cultural thing, or communities of color. But we're very private. So I was like, oh, I don't want anybody in my business, and I don't want to be judged. And that, like, are they going to call on me? Like, not that I mistreated my child, but like just all of those fears.
Of course.
And so what do you say to families? And I even had our first year working together, I had a student who was begging to participate, but her mom said no, and it was a no. But I'm just like, wow, like this child is begging for it, but we can't do it. And I understood her mom had some of those concerns. What do you say to families and parents who are worried about the stigma, or who are private and don't want their business out there, even though that they know their child needs help? Because you're getting calls from the school all the time, or you're seeing grades, or you're seeing symptoms of depression because their room's a hot mess. What do you say to those families?
So our agency partners with the DCFS Palmdale office.
Okay.
And I love them because they have a department now. It's called the ERDD department, and that stands for Eliminating Racial Disproportionality and Disparities, because African American kids were disproportionately entering the foster care system.
Yes.
And so they have a whole team of social workers and supervisors who are addressing that.
Nice.
And putting things in place so that doesn't happen. And so I think that the fact that they have a whole department around it speaks to how the system is set up and how the system is, I don't want to say the word targeting, but I get why Black families are reserved.
And I see it in Latinx families as well. That same.
They were right up under it. Yep. So I get it. I understand it. And I'm just going to say this.
Okay.
But do you want somebody all in your business, or do you want to risk your kid ending their life? Sit with that. Because in my field, and what I just dealt with yesterday, that's the reality. Yeah. And it can be that deep. And I'm going to take it there, because that's not the case for everybody, but it can be that deep.
Yeah.
I just did a presentation with the You Are Enough Foundation. Shout out to Jackie, who's doing her thing in the Antelope Valley. She does suicide prevention. And just last year in 2024, I want to get the numbers right, but there were thousands of deaths by suicide in 2024 alone in California.
In California, there's something called the California Healthy Kids Survey. It asks them a range of questions just about their connectedness to school, learning, chronic sadness, suicidal ideation, a lot of those questions, but there's a dashboard. So I just discovered the dashboard. So I just want to encourage educators and even just community to look. It's called the California Healthy Kids Survey, and just add dashboard to it. And you can play around and you can look at it by county. You can look at it by local education agency or just the state. So you mentioned that question that we were sitting with, and I'm like, ooh, I felt like tears coming. So I had to get myself together. But I just pulled up on the dashboard. I'm looking at the most recent data set. So when you look at chronic sadness and hopelessness in the entire state of California, and it's just a yes or no question. So the survey asked, during the past 12 months, did you ever feel so sad or hopeless almost every day for 2 weeks or more that you stopped doing some usual activities? For the state of California, 7th graders, 100% of them said yes. 9th graders, 100% of them said yes.
Wow.
11th graders, 100% of them said yes. And continuing education students, 100% of them said yes. And then you can disaggregate the data on gender, identity, race, ethnicity, all of those types of things. But that speaks to your question for us, right? So even if, they don't attempt to do anything, but they're on the path, they're hopeless, right?
Yeah. I get it. I get the stigma. I get the distrust. Yeah. I totally understand that, but mental health is real. And they can just thrive so much further if we address the mental health piece. What I always used to say is if my son is not okay, I'm not okay. Right. And so I need things to be okay. I need my son to be okay so I can focus on being the professional. And so it's the same thing for the students, for the kids. Life happens. People separate, people move. Things just happen in the home that's out of the parents' control and the kids' control. And it's hard to deal with. And I don't think it's a bad thing to have an outside person help your child process how they're feeling. My high schoolers in my private practice, they dread family therapy. And I'm like, you talking up a storm with me. And then as soon as I say I'm bringing mom in, you just melting in your seat. But a piece of that is the kids, they love their parents and they see their parents struggling or just feeling overwhelmed. So they don't want to be that extra thing that adds on
that's so sweet
to what their parent is going through. So they try to deal with it on their own.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other piece is, I can't speak for everybody, but there's a confidentiality piece too to our work that we do too.
Oh, okay. Say it more about that.
So confidentiality means in the therapy space, what is spoken of in the therapy space, we have something called client privilege. So we can't ethically and legally, we can't share what's spoken in the therapy space unless a person is a danger to themselves or someone else. Now we have a duty to warn.
Right.
Or if there's any suspected child abuse or elder abuse.
Okay.
And in every session, myself and all of my clinicians, and it's best practice that we share limits of confidentiality with the client before we even begin treatment.
Okay. Nice.
So when you had me contact some of the parents to just explain, explain what we do, who we are,
Right.
the therapy process, I also was trying my best to share with them what are your concerns, what are your barriers, and then what confidentiality is to help them feel a little more comfortable with that process.
And even in a school setting, we don't discuss families, what's shared. It's the same rules still apply. What I think is powerful, though, you will, and I believe it comes from you hearing maybe trends when you're talking to students will give me something to reflect on.
Sure.
Or think about, which I think is important for school leaders, right? So those same confidentiality rules and expectations, they exist even though we partner and you do work for us at a school site.
It's so funny being a therapist in a small community because I see a lot of my clients in the community. And for us, ethically, we can't acknowledge our clients until they acknowledge us.
Okay. I kind of wondered how that worked.
Yeah. So I'll be walking past and they're like, Miss Ebony, hey.
She knows you.
Yeah. And now I'm like, and my son hates it. My son's like, they think you're an angel. They think you are just blah, blah, blah. He used the word goddess.
I love that.
I have my own self-care. I see my own therapist, but I hold on to a lot of things. But again, I feel like God has blessed me with the ability to compartmentalize, so I can hold it. A wonderful supervisor, Christina Moreno, she was my supervisor when I was at Child and Family Guidance Center. And when I was doing the work, I couldn't sleep from kids reporting trauma to me, sexual abuse, all of that. And she said, Ebony, this is what I do. She said, when I'm on the clock, these are my clients. I'm holding them in my hand. She said, when I clock out to go be with my family, I give them to God.
That's so nice. That feels better because people will tell me you have to leave it there or you just have to turn off. It's going to be there tomorrow, but they're humans. I can't just turn off. But to say I'm going to give them to God until I get back the next day, that's beautiful. I love that.
And it aligns with my faith, giving my worries, giving my concerns to God. And so she said, you give it to God and now you can be present with your family. You can do what you need to do for yourself. And then once you are back on the clock, you pick them back up.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So the work that you do, working with children, I say it's heart work. So it's heart work, it's hard work, it's intentional, it's thoughtful, like we engage our full selves. But I'm going to say, what practices keep you grounded and joyful in the midst of the challenges?
I struggle with it sometimes, especially being a business owner. And now I have people under me. So I'm so passionate about educating them and supporting them and processing things with them. So sometimes it does get overwhelming, but I like I said, I see my therapist. I try to work out and be intentional about that. Sleep, getting good sleep. I try to be present with my family. I remember when I was at a wraparound therapist, I would go home and be doing notes at 8 and 9 o'clock at night. No, I don't do any of that.
I love that.
And I'm intentional about saying, I'll reach out to you tomorrow, or I'll look at a message and I won't respond until the next day.
Boundary.
Setting those healthy boundaries for myself is a way that I take care of myself. Praying, I get on the prayer line with my church. I try to on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I take a lot of baths.
We're local but national, but I understand we have a local audience too, and people may see how grounded and connected you are. What church do you go to? I just want people to be able to know in case they see it.
Oh, got you. As well. Grace Place Church.
Okay.
Under the leadership of Pastor Michael X. Richardson.
Okay. Where is that at?
It's off 7th Street East and Avenue I.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to disrupt your train
No,
of thought,
you're fine. You're fine. And so those are some of the things that I do. I know when I need to take a break, and I know when I need to ask for help. Yeah, I was on the phone actually, like I shared with you, my client yesterday with the suicide attempt. Even though one of my mentors she's super busy, she's doing her thing. I was like, hey, I need to talk to you. I need to process some stuff. And we were on the phone last night, and she know I don't call her all the time, but asking for help.
That's big.
Asking for help. We're not perfect.
Right.
We go through stuff.
Right.
We're humans.
Right.
So that's a big one too.
Thank you for sharing that. So my last question, if you could give every school leader one charge, challenge, or reminder, what would that be?
That's a good question. I guess I would challenge them to slow down. Take a deep breath. I know you care about these kids and you want to do right by these kids, but slow down, take a deep breath, and see if there's something else happening.
What do you mean?
Is there something else happening? So when you're telling your kids, slow down in the hallway, and then they turn around and go off, instantly you may feel like they're being disrespectful towards you. And you are in all these meetings trying to give them all these service and do all these things. So how dare them? Just for a moment, nobody's trying to disrespect you. Can you just for a moment think about, hey, come here, stand right there for a minute and let all the kids do what they need to do. You good? And just think, it just might be something else. It might be that, no, they just really need to learn how to be respectful, but it could be something else.
Right.
It could be, and I know you're busy. I know you're conducting a whole school and you have a lot going on, but just for a moment, slow down.
Thank you.
Slow down and see if it's something else. I think you do a good job of that. You hard on your kids.
But I love them.
You do love them. They know you do.
They do.
They know you do. And I think you do a good job of thinking outside the box and thinking about it could be something else. And so I think you're really good at that. But again, just like with parents, you have so much going on. You have bills, you have the culture climate. You're trying to raise these kids right, trying to keep them out of trouble, keep them safe. And they're coming with their attitude.
Right.
But could you for a moment slow down and actively listen to them? And actively listening means put your phone down, turn the music down, look at them, make eye contact. And how are you doing? I'm real quick. Are you good?
I love that. That's going to be my new saying. Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah. And then even I think with that being present, because I have been guilty, learning from you as well, watching you work with our parents, trying to do all of those things physically, but like mentally, I'm still thinking about
A
100
million
things.
things.
So all of that, but also mentally, like redirecting my focus, towards that. And then you shared something, maybe it was in the parent workshop, but it was like 2 questions that you give to parents to check in with their students.
Their highs and lows.
Yeah.
We do in the group therapy, we switched it up a little bit this year, where now when they first come in, they journal for
Nice.
5
Oh, I love
minutes.
that.
We used to do highs and lows, but now I give them a journal prompt and they're able to journal how they've been feeling over the past week. And sometimes they are able to share out loud if they want to, but they don't have to. But they know I'm getting the workbook, so I'll see it. And that's a real big hit. But the highs and lows are, tell me something good that happened this week.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean you went to Six Flags, or you went to the movies,
Right.
but you had a good meal, or you slept through the night,
Right.
or you had or your younger sibling wasn't bothering you this week. And that was a positive thing that you experienced. Either, I'm only seeing my kids once a week for group, but if it's my son, it's today. What's the high for today? It was horrible. Find a high. He know I'm looking for it.
Right.
Because now you're practicing gratitude too.
Oh, I love that.
Now you're practicing gratefulness. So now just waking up in the morning is a high.
Right.
Because you have another opportunity. And then a low, something not so good that happened this week.
Okay.
Right? And now they're able to share with you what is something not so good that happened. And now as a parent, you can keep a pulse on it, even as a teacher. So if they share, somebody made me upset, it didn't escalate, you guys didn't get into a fight, but now you can kind of monitor that situation. You can check in about it. You can ask, how did it go with Emily today? Because I know yesterday you shared she was irritating you all day, so those are it's like a little check-in.
Okay. That was powerful. So thank you for that challenge for school leaders to slow down. And I love the check-in piece, because that's an act of care. That's the first step in building a relationship. And all of that goes a long way.
And just lastly, I know with you guys having a million things to do, it can feel like another chore, another job. But I've watched my clients, me doing the extra mile, I've watched over time where they're getting better. And so now they don't need me as much as they needed me at the beginning. All your students may not need that. But once you start putting in that extra work with the students who are at risk, you'll see in the long term it benefits you.
Right.
Because now they feel safe. They're able to process how they feel. They know who to go to now, because now we're building trust, because you care.
Right.
It's so many times where I've taken my glasses off during my session, like, I care about you.
Right.
And I say it 3 times.
Yes.
I care about you. I care about you, And
that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful.
And so then after a while, now they can trust. So if you say, I really feel like you should be a part of the group Miss Ebony got running, now they're starting to trust you. So they'll be open to being a part of that group. And then now they're learning skills and all of that stuff to be able to manage their emotions, calm down, stop and think. And then now you have a better school climate.
Right.
It takes time. It's not going to be, overnight.
It does take time, but I just have to say, we keep saying last thing, but even just the work that you've been doing with our children over time now, we do see the data, right? And so I do see a decrease in all of those things at school leaders that we look at. On time to class. So year 3, we've been working together. The month of August, 761 students got to every single class on time.
Wow.
That's huge. That's huge.
Congratulations.
Yes. But it's all of the things working together.
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
That are changing our school climate.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
locked in teachers and with big hearts and partnering with the right people, the right agency who cares and is doing great work with students. But the students that you work with, for them specifically, we do see an improvement on time to class data, decrease in behavior incidents, decrease in suspensions, and we're seeing improved GPAs. And so everything is in service to learning. So you're right. So it's not instant, but we do see big data shifts each year that we work with you.
I'm gonna be like a pastor. I keep saying I'm about to finish, but then you keep saying something. I have a student I'm so proud of. She's been in our program at Shadow Hills all 3 years. And now when I came back, I was informed that she's a peer mentor.
Oh, yes.
So she's a peer mentor now.
Oh, so now she's counseling.
Yes. I said, you're like a little therapist. And so we still meet, and she was just like kind of sharing with me that some students came in and they were assigned to her. And she said they weren't listening to me, and I told her, well, think about when you were with me,
right.
Just let them share what they want to share.
Right.
Just, maybe they don't want your advice.
Right.
Just ask them what's wrong, what happened, how do they feel?
Wow.
And
so now you're being your mentor, processing with her.
Crazy. I love it. I'm so proud of her. But yeah, she was 6th grade to 7th to 8th now.
Yes. And so one change life changes generations. That child is probably going to be a therapist now and already has an assignment of students that she's going to be working with because of the work that you did with her.
Yeah, so crazy.
So you talked about at the beginning just, having a big voice. And when you said that, I didn't want to disrupt your train of thought, but you do have a big voice because it was you and your impact. And now it's like your clinicians, but it's still your voice. It's still your approach, because don't bring anybody to my school who doesn't.
Oh, my goodness. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I give them a heads up,
we have
too.
a serious talk like, hey, I don't care what you do, but you need to be here.
She's serious. She's so dead serious about that. And I tell the clinicians that.
But you're training them to have your approach. And now,
ma'am.
my God, now you're training students, which made me think too that many schools have restorative practice rooms where students are being the peer mediators.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how powerful of what that could be is if you even train them. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I know we talked about it and we're out of time, but one of the things that just organically has happened over the 2 years is you supporting my teacher colleagues and working with students in this day and age. Our teachers are like 174 in middle school, like human contacts. That's a lot. And like, I don't know about other schools, but I know like the teachers I get to work with, like they care so much and so deeply. And so they are carrying things with them and having to suck it up and move on after a challenging interaction in one period. But I don't know that it exists anywhere. I used to watch this show on HBO, and it was a corporation, but they had a psychologist, and their focus, who the staff could check in with, right? And everything was like in service to making the company more money. But the people in the company had a person that they could check in. I almost feel like
That's
schools,
nice.
they need that. And I don't know how it would work, and no, I'm not trying to do it, but my bosses might be like, no. But teachers need somebody too, the same way that we're partnering with you for our children, our teachers and the adults, they need somebody also.
A lot of companies are moving towards,
it's so important because they'll burn out and we need them. Yeah.
A lot of companies are moving towards wellness rooms and having wellness rooms where some of the staff can go in there and either take a nap or just listen to nature sounds and it's aromatherapy.
I'd be great at that, but another conversation maybe. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I haven't been saying this, but we filmed these episodes at a beautiful, incredible space. It's almost like
beautiful.
a secret room. So it's
beautiful.
661 Creator Space. I don't know if I have permission to share the address. Okay. So it's 548 West Lancaster Boulevard. So you drive by and it looks like a business building, office complex on the outside. But when you walk in, it's magical. It's absolutely beautiful. There are meeting spaces. There are so many podcasting studios, each with a different vibe or energy. There's a makerspace. There's so many things, but I'm going to be talking to you about this space. It's an incredible space for our community. So 661 Creator Space, thank you for allowing us to host the podcast here. The founder, Tabia Woolley, she's a visionary. She's a visionary, and I'm thankful that she has brought her vision to the community that she loves. For our community. So thank you for being here today.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, we might have to do like a wellness session like every month.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
She said like every month. She threw it every month. I can't.
I can get you.
I can't with her. No, just kidding. I got your back.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening.